Hello everybody, this is Andrew here, bringing you episode 6 of our Transport Fever 2 Let's Play series, not a season, it's a series. You currently join me as I'm sat by the junction for the two lines, one bringing in the planks to the tool factory, which is just off to our left, and the other line which runs off to Bridport, carrying the tools to be consumed by the city over there. So, what are we looking at today? Well, immediately we're looking at a negative bank account. The reason for that is I spent too much money smoothing and terraforming around the map, especially along the edges of the train lines, just to take the edge off some of the embankments that were generated, as well as some of the weird graphical terrain glitches that occurred from placing stations and such like down in areas where the terrain wasn't level. So let's crack on. We left off last time discussing future expansion plans and decided that the next town we're going to set our sights on is Morley, located over here, because Morley has two low-tech end products that it requires, bricks and bread, both of which are in the immediate vicinity. We have bricks just over the water. We have bread here, which can be shipped along the water to a port just on the confluence of this river just here, and then shipped into the town of Morley itself. So, I think the first thing we'll do is extend the passenger line and bring it over the river, and then have a passenger station perhaps along the riverbank down here, where the train's a little flatter, or the gradient is a little less intense. And we'll have a terminus station here, because going off that way, there is nowhere to go except nowhere. So, that's what we'll do today. So we've got $1 million in the bank, so we've generated the money back quite quickly. So let's go ahead and make our intentions clear, and we'll pick up a UK generic passenger terminus station. Small building size, it's only a small town. We'll go for a medium. 2 tracks. We'll go for 240 with a long canopy. So if we have this terminus station somewhere like, I say, right about here, I think, and we can do our usual strategy of having a road run down, a bus station nearby that services the station itself and gets the passengers in and out and into the town of Morley. So that'll cost us $500,000 to construct that, so we'll go ahead and do that now. That's named itself Morley straight away, which is very pleasing, saves me having to change it. And let's start off next by building the connection, the road connection that we are going to need. So we'll make sure we have a flat section of road just touching onto the station, and then the road can begin to follow the hills upwards and connect into the pre-existing roads in and around Morley. Don't think there'll be any harm in further extending that down to join in as well. And in fact, that will allow us to build something of a loop system for our bus service through Morley, especially if we finish that off there like that. So, I think the first thing to do before we link up the train line is to build the bus itself, the bus line, the bus route. Get that in place. So if we have a passenger station just outside, how close can we go? Say like that. There we go. There's a slight hump, but it's nothing too drastic. And then we'll go ahead and put down the bus stops. We'll do the usual and have a clockwise and counterclockwise service that loops round the edge of the city. Not going to go overboard on the stops at this moment in time. We can always add more into the line later on. And while that's not really going to do much good to us there, it will force the line to go the way I want it to go. So that's done. So let's go ahead and put in a new line. Like so. This is bus service number 1 for Morley. So we'll go ahead and name that. Like so. And immediately we'll put the second anti-clockwise, sorry, the clockwise route in, and that'll be bus service number 2, servus. I do love a good servus. Bus service number 2 for Morley. So we've got number 1 there, number 2 there. So what do we need now? We need a road depot. We'll put him just here. This allows further expansion of extra platforms on the interchange if we need it. Speaking of which, let's rename that. In fact, we'll call that Morley Station Exchange. Tell it like it is. Say what you see. So, let's go ahead. Pick up, say, again, we'll go for the 8. That gives us 4 per line. Need to wait for some money to arrive, though. We need just under 200,000, so we'll hang on just for a few moments until we hopefully hit that target. So we're already up to 50. There we go. Wow, we've smashed it. Perfect. So buy these vehicles. We want 8. The first 4 are going to be coloured. Oh, we have the Class GV and the St. Petersburg streetcar. We'll have a look at those in a moment. It was this nice salmon pink colour for service number 1, and this wooden orange sort of colour for service number 2. They can start their way, and off they go. So while there may not be any passengers looking to come down here at this moment in time, because there's no reason to, as the once we get the line, the train station, so the train line in place and get the service on the line, that should change. And because we've got the infrastructure in place already in terms of the buses, it shouldn't take them too long to recalculate their journey and start using the buses. So let's go ahead and make a start here. Now, given the fact we're going to have to bridge at least once, possibly twice, depending where we choose to cross over, I think sections of this line are going to be single track. However, for now we can go with double, just because we're relatively flat and it's relatively cheap to do so. But when we get to maybe, say, this sort of area, we'll drop it into a single line, we'll cross the river, or both the rivers, and then go back to double tracks over here and connect to the station in Bridgewater. So, money's built up back up a little bit, so we can afford to lay these tracks down, so let's press on with that. I don't think we're going to have any more than, obviously we're not going to have any more than 2 trains, but then again, it does depend whether we do a continuous stopping service or multiple services on the passenger line. If we're doing a stopping service, we may want more than 2 trains running it, perhaps as many as 4. But we'll decide that later on once the track lane has been completed. So yes, we'll double track as far as that, and then we shall look to cross the river. Now it's important here to ensure that this section stays navigable for our shipping service, otherwise there's no way to get the ships out because they can't go under the bridge. So we'll use the Z and X keys to give this bridge a bit of a humpback, which allows the ships to pass underneath. We were at 700,000. We obviously just paid out some maintenance fees. That's fine. I think if we take it a bit further like that, and again we'll change the bridge style. Not that one. He stays navigable, and he is quite era you know, is quite fitting for the era that we're in. I think we go with that. Although I don't like how close to the shoreline that will force our ships. It looks a bit odd. There we go, it's a bit more central. They can get through there, or through this arch here. All of which are a bit more central to the river, and it just looks more logical. So that's the first bridge dealt with. We'll keep this nice and flat after the bridge, or between the two bridges. And then we can go straight over this river. We're probably a little too high. The bridge will be too excessive, so I'll change my mind there. I will allow it to drop down somewhat. Otherwise, the bridge is going to be disturbingly high for the river, and it will just look odd. So as we see, this has kept the water navigable because the ships that we have are able to phase through time and space and simply pass through the masonry like so. That's good news. It's disturbing news, but it's also good news. Now, let's plan the bridge over here. Obviously, we're not going to be able to afford it just yet. Which bridge did we have? Was it that colour? I believe it was. Does he stay navigable? I'm not sure that is. Oh, there we go. That definitely is. See, I'm not sure if they can, because they're only touching on the corners. I'm not sure if that classes as a means it can go through there. Obviously, here we know it definitely can. But that'll do. We'll find out. After all, our ships can just pass straight through the struts anyway, without any concern. But moving on. So we need 460 for this bridge. As I said, this section of track will likely remain single track for the time being, and then we'll spread back to double here before we head up into Bridgewater Station. Perhaps it might be advisable if we start to aim more towards the station. But then again, I'm not sure if that will... That does, but again, it's... What's about like... I will get this. There we go, that's not bad. There we go, it's more central on the river. And it's also... It is a more natural following slope, a curve rather, into Bridgewater Station. So let's wait for 500,000 to roll in. We have a quarter at the minute, so let's double our money, please. If anybody would like to go and drop us some goods off, come on. In the meantime, we'll leave that open, ready to build. Yep, still there. And as soon as we hit the money, we shall confirm our choice. While we wait, we'll have a quick look around, see how things are doing. Bridgeport started to grow. That's now busy. I believe that means there's at least 50 passengers awaiting transportation at the station, so that warrants a look as soon as we've constructed this bridge. Coventry's still quite busy. We've got at least 40 here, 30 people here. Station's picking up a little. We've got at least 20, between 20 and 30. Likewise in Bridgewater, between 20 and 30. And for a city that's not getting any of its demands met in terms of supplying goods, that's not too bad at all. Okay, so we're still waiting. So what I'm going to do now is just actually accelerate time, because I don't want to sit here waffling all day, wasting valuable video time, when we could just speak. Oh, I just missed it. As I was saying, don't want to waste valuable time while we're waiting for the money, which I just had, and then missed the opportunity. There we go. Let's slow it back down. So then we are coming in like that. What's the gradient like? By eye, it is rising, but it doesn't look excessive. And it is quite a long section of track there, so it can have a nice gentle rise up rather than a sudden sharp rise and then plateauing at the top. There we go. As we said, this section of track will go back to dual track like this. Who's unhappy and why are they unhappy? Pause it. Train 2. What's your problem? No path. Why do you have no path? You don't need to go down there. I don't understand your issue, sir. It did this last time, didn't it, with the tool factory. One of the trains there got confused when I extended the platforms. And like before, a quick switch reversal sorted him out. Let's continue. So let's have a nice quick junction. 70 miles an hour is fine when you consider our top speed is about 31, I think, at the moment. And we also need a junction over here. We'll try and keep this as quick as possible as well. Why? What? No! No, no, no. No! Absolutely not. That was the strangest track lane I've ever seen. Can we avoid that? Yes, we can. There we go. That was a little bit scary, if I'm honest. Although that has got a bit of an over. There we go. It's a bit slower on this side, but I suppose we shall make do. So we want one-way signals there. Do we have a diamond in? Yes, we did. Then there. And a, perhaps, I would say just one intermediate blocking. About halfway between the station and the bridge. This is one way. Sorry, this is single track. It's not one way at all. That wouldn't work. We do need a diamond over here, so we'll put a signal in just ahead of where the diamond's going to be, and then drop the diamond in. Like so. And I think because our trains, the passenger trains are quite short, we will have a block section there as well. So, that's all connected. Now, do we want to double these trains up in terms of the amount and have 4 running and have a stopping service, risking the inability to pick passengers up from Bridgewater? I think I do. So let's modify this. So after Bridgewater, you're coming to Morley, and then back to Bridgewater, and then to Coventry. Why don't you like that? What's your problem? What's your issue, sir? You should be able to do that no problem. I don't understand why you can't. Oh, you can. The issue isn't here. The issue is with one of the trains. Again. No path. Well, you do. I'll tell you now. You absolutely do. So let's do a reverse and then... Oh, I think he needs to clear the platform a bit before we... There we go. That's a very strange bug, and I can only assume it's an artifact of one of the mods, although I've never really encountered it before, and I've been using these mods for a while. Now, given that we're looking to have several, by that I mean 4, trains on this line, I think a few extra blocking signals going in wouldn't be the worst idea. Don't know if they're going to be needed, but we'll drop them in regardless. That and that and that and that and that. Yep, you're already heading down to Morley, as you should. We already got demand. Well, say demand is 1 passenger. But there's already pickup, which is good. Now, we also want to duplicate. How much does each train cost? 1.7 million. So we can't afford to duplicate them yet. We need about 3.5. So if we just, again, just wait a few moments. Let's take that back down to 1/4 speed while we're running at 4 times game speed. Otherwise, as I keep saying, we're going to motor through all the eras. In fact, what I... Shall I make them use both platforms? I believe that would make sense. Yes. Yes, I shall do that. So... Number 2 goes on to platform 1. Is that correct? Yes, that's right. So now we've got more people waiting. Obviously they're all going to Coventry at the moment, but they are there. You're not going to be able to fit all the waiting passengers for Coventry on your train. which does mean we do need more trains on the line. Did I say need for about 3.5 million to double them? So we'll get to 3.5, we'll quickly double the amount of trains running, and that should offset that little problem. Bridges look very nice, I must say. Clearly we know the ships can pass underneath, as well as just done so. And we've had no error message from the ships up here. Where are you guys all going? Oh, you hover over the number, don't you? That's right. All heading to, well, the majority are heading to Bridgewater. In the meantime, we've hit 3.5 million plus, so let's go ahead and just duplicate those trains. And they should start bringing in some nice money. So now we need to look at how we're going to get the materials into Morley itself. Now the most obvious one for the bricks is just to put a road depot here, have it run across the river and in, and then drop them off. I think that's probably the easiest solution, which we can facilitate rather quickly. So we'll go ahead and do that. So if we have him out of the way a bit so he doesn't trip over our stone trucks. It's 200,000. Alright, if I put him on the opposite side, that saves about 20,000. So we'll put him over here then. So we need 181,000, which shouldn't take too long to accumulate. He does reach the brickworks, so the brickworks can supply the freight depot. Struggling for money a little bit. Oh, there we go, it's starting to accumulate again. And it's gone again. Easy come, easy go. And then the drop-off point will be probably on this little back road here, out of the way, and then they can just scoot on around and back out to pick up the food, bread. We could have road vehicles drop off the grain to the processing plant, have a cargo port linked in, hopefully it's close enough, I think it will be, and then have ships run up here with a second cargo port here to drop them off with a road depot, a connection, and then running the bread in from there, similar to as we've got over in Coventry. Anyway, we have enough money, so let's go ahead and build him. You are Morley Brickworks. You need a drop-off point in Morley itself. We'll put it. We can't afford it. Of course we can't. I mean, it only costs 1,000. We just lost money there at a rate of knots. But I think overall we are still profitable. I mean, it does say minus 3 million on the earnings chart, but we've just bought 2 new trains at 3.5 million total, so that is going to be quite low at the moment until that drops off the accounting period. There we go. So this line can be started or activated immediately. After all, we have the production set up already at Morley Brickworks, so these can just crack on. So this is bricks delivery to Morley. We have a vehicle depot here which we can utilise. Let's say 8 for now. Colour them brick red and put them on the line. So that's bricks taken care of, or at least started. Now, the food. So we're going to want a pickup point here, a drop-off point there, a vehicle depot, pop them on the other side of the road just there. Change the name, this is Stoke Farms, and we want a line from Stoke Farms to the food processing plant. What colour is the wheat? It's a dark yellow stroke orange sort of colour. So let's see what we can get. Perhaps that one. Yes, we'll go for that one. That works for me. And that is wheat haulage Stoke. Is that Morley food plant or is that Stoke-on-Trent? Let's check. It's Stoke, so we can keep the line as just Stoke, which we have. Okay, let's get some vehicles running this line. Can we get, say, 20? Almost. Let's just wait a few minutes and we'll get 20. There we go. Colour them the colour of the line. Set them off. So what we want now is, when we can afford it, a ship, a harbour. We'll go large. And we want him, that is a navigable bridge, that's good. So it's going to cost us about 500,000 plus, about 700,000, so we're not even close to affording that at the moment. And then we'll have one here. We have a shipyard up there, but it is quite a distance away from us to travel. However, it would give time for the bread to start stockpiling, so I think we will just call them from here. In the meantime, we have the funds to build it. Let's say there. It needs a street connection. I'm hoping it's close enough that we don't need any wagons running the line, and it can supply it from there. I think it will be close enough once the road's connected. We shall see now. Are you close enough? Yes, you are. Perfect. So that's Stoke-on-Trent port. That's fine. And you want another port over here where you're going to... Although, to save a bit of... could we add a second cargo dock here? That just looks a bit strange because it seems it almost blocks the rest of the river off, doesn't it? Cost us 500,000. How much would it cost for a new port, a new harbour itself? We'll just go ahead. We'll just put its own dedicated harbour in, I think. That. This is Morley Port, so what I'm going to do now is actually change the name of this one to Morley Brickworks Port to distinguish between the two. Let's go ahead and have a road connection. And then bring him around and in like so. Then we will need a truck station there, a drop-off point for the bread on this back road here once we can afford it. It shouldn't be too long. There we go. So you are Morley Cargo Port. Again, let's get the line set up and ready to go. Food is that sort of colour, I think. That's what I'm going for anyway. So there's the bread, and you're only unloading the bread. You're waiting until full, unlimited time. And this is food delivery to Morley. Lovely. We have a vehicle depot ready. Let's go for 8. Assign them the colour scheme and assign them onto the line. So all we need to do now is set up the actual shipping line. You are that colour because you're carrying food and you want to wait until full at Stoke. And unload only the bread, not that you have any choice, but we'll do it as always. What did we call the other one? Was it shipping? Bricks shipping. So this, to follow the nomenclature, will be food shipping Stoke to Morley. I think we'll, if we can afford it, we'll go straight for 4. So we had those last time. They're cheaper to run. They are a bit slower. Not concerned about that. 1.8 million. I think we'll go straight for 4. Once we have enough money to buy all 4, we'll get them all in a wanna. That's 1.8 million. We've got 1.5, so not too far away. 1 or 2 big deliveries should see us through, although we've just dropped down even further. But we do have a ship on its way in. This is still very busy here. I think that's going to be the intercity bus line. I'll look at that in a moment. Likewise here, we've got our ships. Colour, whoa! Now that is a colour scheme. And I do believe that should have now started full production on the entire line. Let's wait till we see our food arriving on the pier. There we go, we got the first few crates ready to go. So that's set up. That's Morley dealt with, at least for now. Let's turn our attention to the crowding situation here. Yes, this intercity bus line is horrendously popular. In fact, it's even overcrowded over here. So let's go ahead. We've got 12. I'm going to increase it to 20. That's another 4. I guess the root cause of this is people in Bridport wanting to go to Bridgewater or Morley all of a sudden, because we never had this many waiting. So they're obviously going to be catching the intercity bus, getting off here, jumping on either the bus service or the metro, heading to here, getting on the train, and then heading to wherever it is they're needing to go. Speaking of the trains, how are we doing in terms of passenger volumes over here? Not many at Morley, but it's still only just starting. We have 19, 20 waiting to go to Coventry, which he should pick up if he has room. Yes, he does. It's looking very good, if I'm honest. And in terms of Coventry, how many have we just picked up? 22. Not too bad at all. So, that's looking good. That's Morley now a proud member of the network. Are you now struggling for stone? Yes. Shall we have more trucks on here? I think so. We've got a full station. So let's go ahead. How many do we have? 75 already. Wow, let's take it to 85. See how that does for us. Where have they come out of? Did they just come out? They came out over there, didn't they? Because that's the logical place to do it, but there we go. So the number 2 bus service is popular. Number 1 less so. Which makes me question whether we have more buses. Especially on the number 2 line. I think the answer is yes. We shall have 6. There we go, that's that done. So things seem to be ticking over quite nicely, even after our little outlay and expense and expansion. All sorts of shipping going on down the river now. Have some sort of race. Oh, that's a collision. He's sunk. What are they doing? There's some sort of a rivalry going on here. And now they've decided to mate. Perfect. So, the intercity bus, I've dumped all those extra buses on there, so that has now started to chip away at that, hopefully. Yep, it definitely has over here, if nothing else. Let's have an overall look at our lines. Let's sort them by balance. I know this changes all the while, it's a rolling 12-month period, but we at least have a decent understanding. Where are we losing money at the moment? Obviously this, because it's only just joined the line, that should change as soon as it starts dropping off. The tool freight, interestingly, is losing money, although we do have a delivery en route and just about to arrive in Bridport, so let's see how that changes the scores. There we go, profitable. So again, this has only just started, as is this. This should both change. And then it's the bus service in Coventry, which has been that way for a while, but I'm not too concerned about as long as it's getting people to the stations. One thing we could do, which we haven't done yet, is build our headquarters. We have a company score of 12. 6 points for our company value, which is 13 million. 1 point for having more than 10 trains, 2 points for having in excess of 100 road vehicles, 2 points for having more than 5 ships, and 1 for having a very long vehicle, which I'm going to assume is our logging trains. They are quite long. So let's go ahead and build our headquarters. Now, given that Coventry is our capital and our hub, so to speak, I think the best place to put it is somewhere in Coventry. And I'm going to say we put it nearby the station. Perhaps if we put it maybe there, like that. Or perhaps even... no, it just looks strange attached to a bus station. What about over here? That's on a raised embankment. That just looks bizarre. For God's sake, Andrew, just stick it down and have done with it. Doesn't do, it's only cosmetic anyway. I want it facing the station though. Right, it's going in here. That's what I've decided. That'll do. Hopefully we'll see him grow and expand over time. I've never really looked at all this. I've checked the score from time to time, but never scrolled down and seen all of this. We're transporting 4 different types of cargo. 5. 22 lines. Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, how are we doing over here? Are we still having delays waiting? No, you've just left with a full load and there's still 17 on the platform. You're going to have to wait, but here comes our long, very long, according to the game, logging train to top up the stores. We shouldn't be waiting too long. The stations are all still busy in Coventry. Again, it's the City Bus and... oh, now it's a number 1 metro. Well, we did put more on the number 2 line, didn't we? How many do we have there? 8. And on the number 1 line we have 4. Let's go ahead and match them up 8 apiece. Bridport, that number's dropped down nicely. How much money is our intercity bus making us now? Excellent profits. I mean, since we added the extra stage coaches, it's shot through the roof. It's always been profitable. And while it probably isn't as profitable as having a train do this line, I am quite tempted to leave it as just a bus line. Although perhaps in future I will go with a tram line up here and have a tram running between the two instead. We'll see. We shall see. Speaking of trams, we did actually unlock a new tram a while ago and I never actually looked at it, so at the minute we're using the horse-drawn streetcar. 12 miles per hour, 6 cargo capacity. This has an extra capacity, but is half a ton heavier, same power and tractive effort, and also 1,000 more expensive per year in terms of maintenance. So, as it stands, I'm going to keep them as the original horse-drawn streetcar. Coventry City Centre's looking very lively, very busy. Just slow the speed down to soak it all in, enjoy the view and what the game has done for us. Lots of people bustling around. He's sat like that. That's fine. You do you. There's his twin brother and a busy bus stop. All waiting for number 1. We've just doubled that, so that's fine. Yes. I'm pleased with how this is developed. How's Bridgewater doing? Still not growing much, but it's never gonna grow much because it's had no resources supplied. Morley, however, has, and we are busy. Holy, yeah, 52. How many do we have on the line? 6. Double it. Just straight off double it. How about the number 1 service? Let's go ahead and double that as well, why not? So we've got 8 on that line, 12 on that line. That's fine. Again, if the bus services lose money, I'm not too concerned, because all they're to do is to get the people to the train station where the money is made. You're still not keeping up in terms of your stockpile of stone, but I did add an extra 10 on there, and they have had to travel all the way from the depot in Morley, so that might still be filtering through. Do we have our first food delivery yet? We have one on the way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, that's our first one underway. How are we doing in terms of throughput on the grain? Not quite meeting it. We could double that, so let's do that. Select all, double. That's now 40 vehicles on that line. That's fine. Set that to 1 times speed while we have it at 1 times acceleration. So yes, I do think this is a good point to end this episode. We've achieved quite a lot. We've got Morley connected in terms of passengers as well as cargo. It's growing quite rapidly. Our buses are overwhelmed. We've just dealt with that, and hopefully soon they should all equalise out quite nicely. Our intercity train, it's not the most profitable or guaranteed money maker at the moment, but there are times that we top 1.5 million. So we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously we've added more trains, which means more expense. But as Morley grows, then the amount of passengers we're transporting should also grow. In terms of future expansion, I think perhaps we go from, if we go from both Bridgewater to Stoke and Morley to Stoke, and bring Stoke into the passenger network, again, in terms of their final product, we can't provide them with machines or goods just yet, but we do have machines factory, we do have a steel mill, and we're already producing lumber at a sawmill, but we could instead utilise this one, because it's a shorter journey, and that can be done by road vehicles. We also have a steel mill here, didn't see that. We have plenty of coal mines around, but the nearest iron ore mine is probably this one or one of these. Yes, I think if we connect Stoke, and then we can slowly start to make a start on Stoke's products, and then that's this section of the map in terms of towns finished. We'll have passenger connections and freight supplied as well. So yes, that for me is the way ahead. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you are still enjoying the series. I look forward to seeing you next time. All that I have to say now is take care of yourselves, and goodbye.